if you are doing something, you should enjoy it. UX, it's how it works. How it works, like the engineering, how it works. And I would say UI, it's how it looks. That's the simplest way you could break it down for somebody.
But how much of great design is taste and your gut feelings versus research and data?
There's something we call user research. During those processes, we make some, we get data from the users.
How do you know a design is really good? Like, when you get that feeling that it's done.
A design is never done. That's one thing I know. You keep iterating and iterating, it's never done.
Hello guys. So I was scrolling through the internet and I came across a video. Let's watch it together. So then we'll come back and we'll discuss about it.
Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces past and I'm homebound. Let me tell you something!
As funny as that video is, it is actually a reality in the lives of both the designers and the developers who are converting the design into code. So that is why I decided for this series we'll be doing a developer versus designer kind of topic. So I will be speaking with a couple of designers, I'll be speaking with a couple of developers and, bring everything together and see where the thin line is. What actually causes the misconception between designers and developers? What do developers expect from the designers and what do designers expect the developers to do? So join me in this series, Designers versus Developers. And if you have any questions, post it in the comments and I'll be sure to get right to it. Hello guys, and welcome to another episode on Inside the Stack. I'm your host Oluwole Majiyagbe, and today I have with me in the house a UI UX developer. So for the next series, I would be speaking to product designers, UI UX developers, and front-end developers to see how they work, to see where there are gaps, to see where there are loopholes, to see what actually goes through the mind of a UI UX developer when a front-end developer tells him or her this can be done. So for the next course or for this series, what I'll be doing is I'll be interviewing a couple of I'll be speaking to a couple of UI UX developers and also front-end developers. Then maybe 1 or 2 episodes I will bring a UI UX or 2 and a front-end developer or 2. So we would have like a cross-examination to actually see what actually happens when, these things occur. When a front-end tells the UI UX that this design is not worth it, or when front-end does something that the UI UX guy did not implement or did not design, things like this. So welcome, Mr. Abiodun. Yeah, so can you please just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Afuwape Abiodun. I'm a product designer. I would say I like solving problems because that's what we product designer do. Solving problems, digital problems. We turn ideas into digital product that solve users' problem. That's basically what we do.
So you mentioned something about solving problems. Of course, when in the tech space, when we say solving problems, the first thing that comes to our mind is writing code, developing platforms to solve these problems. But what actually made you go into the design space?
I would say for me, because everybody has their own story. But for me, I won't say I jump into the design space right from start because I started with something else. It was a kind of windy road. I didn't just go direct into UI UX. I think I started with desktop publishing. During days of our desktop publishing, I like, doing things. If you tell me, plane is moving towards this direction, I want to see what will happen if we move towards this direction. I always have this curiosity in me. So, and during that time, when I jumped into the tech world, I started with front end. Yeah. I started coding. That was where I started my old tech journey. I started coding. I did HTML, I did CSS, did PHP, and a little bit of JavaScript. And you might be wondering, why did I divert from that side? And it's because I believe in one thing. If you are doing something, you should enjoy it. not just just doing it for doing it. While I was coding, I was not enjoying it. I was just it's as if I'm forcing myself. I was not enjoying it. But I got introduced into design by my brother's friend. I'll put it that way. They just brought it to me and said, "Take a look at this thing." There's somebody in my office that does this. Just give it to us and we develop. I was like, okay. And I started, checking it out, and I just said, "Whoa, this is something we've been doing from way back. It's just that more like the advanced one." And I picked interest in it, and I started learning about it. And I saw that while I was doing this thing, I have so much fun. I am in charge of things. I make the calls. I call the shots. Like, I tell how things wants to go. I make the main decisions. So when I'm designing, it's just fun for me and I enjoy it.
That's nice. That's nice. All right. So, how do you explain when someone thinks design is just adding red here, blue here, one line here, another thing here? Who thinks it's easy? Let's look at this from the business perspective now. We have a lot of clients who would come to you and be like, "Oh, I want you to design this for me." You give them your quotes, and you hear, is it not just to put box here and another box here? It's not like it's the full product. People who trivialize UI UX. Like, what do you think about that? Or what response will you give them?
Okay. For me, UI UX is beyond just putting colors and shapes together. It's beyond that. Like I said earlier, it's about solving problem. We get what the user, like the challenge the user is facing, and we solve it through the digital products. That's what we do. It's beyond just adding color, mixing colors together. We are making key decisions here. We are solving somebody's problem. It takes a lot. The way I see we UI UX designer or product designer is, we are like a superhero, because we are solving people's problem. We solve problem. And to solve somebody's problem, you need to first understand their problem before you solve their problem. So that's what people don't see. They just say, "Okay, you guys just take this, add this together." No, it's beyond that. There's a lot of things going on in the background that the client or a business owner does not actually see.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, because number one of the reasons why I also went into backend is because I'm not very good with colors. Like, if I should design anything for me, I would just mix blue, red, purple, black, and everything. Like, just put everything together. Thank God for AI tools these days that at least help us out a little bit. But I've never really been a design person from the onset. So seeing people, actually, I'm envious of people who could do this. Before we had UI UX, we only had front-end developers who could just merge things together. We have front-end developers who could visualize the design, convert it to code, and boom, we are good to go. I mean, I was always envious of people like that. I cannot mix colors together for the life of me. I don't even know where one box should go. If you give me something like that, maybe I would give you maybe a 1980s page or something, just to showcase what honestly, I've never really been good at design. So, yeah, we've been hearing terms, UI, UX. So what's the difference between UI and UX? What are the, should I say, the intricacies that are involved? What is the background story? How important is UI? How important is UX? What is the synergy between the two of them? Let me put it this way. If you're asked to explain UI, UX to like school children, to high schoolers, people, children in high school, how would you explain it to them? For somebody, or let me put it this way, for somebody who does not really have an idea of what UI, UX is, someone like me. Yeah, let me put it that way. Somebody like me, how would you speak about, or how would you explain what UI, UX is?
I would say UI UX in a simple way to explain to somebody that has no knowledge about, what UI UX is all about, And I would say UX, it's how it works. How it works, like the engineering, how it works. And I would say UI, it's how it looks. That's the simplest way you could break it down for somebody. It's just like, for example, you are trying to, build a house, and you started, putting your foundation, you started putting your cement, blocks and everything. That's what we call the UX. those are the things that users do not see. The only thing the user sees is the beauty, after you've done with the whole work, you started painting it, started adding chandelier, adding a lot of stuff to it. That's what the user actually see. So UX is the backbone, backing it up. And there is one thing, UX cannot survive without UI, and UI cannot survive without UX. You need both to create a good product. That's just the basic, simple way to understand UI UX. Both is important. But you see, I would say UX is really important because it's the one that is really solving the problem. UI is just there to beautify things. UI is just there to beautify things, That's where we come in with the colors and everything. But UX is how you move from point A to point B in a product. So it's the one doing the main work. That's the way I would put it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think UX is more of user experience, what they're experiencing, how easy is it for the application to work. Okay, so I think you've answered the next question. I was going to ask UI versus UX, which is more important. So you've said it. UX is definitely more important. So to everyone viewers at home, please remember, in your design, UX is very, very important. User experience, what your users are experiencing. So let's take a case study now. I think TikTok was the first application that actually started with swipe, or is it swipe up or swipe next? I don't know. I think it was TikTok, or was it Instagram? That initially we had just next buttons, previous buttons, but at one point we started getting like swipe up to view the next, swipe up to view the next video, swipe up to view the next video. So I know there was a record of people spending way more time on the application when that particular user experience was implemented compared to previous times. So yes, user experience is way, way important, like very, very, very important. All right. So we all have artists, definitely. I might like dark, of course, as a developer, I love dark and cool colors, dark mode, dark mode, I'm Batman, those kind of vibe, the Batman kind of vibe. But for some people, it's actually like flashy colors, blue, red, green, flashy colors. But how much of great design is taste and your gut feelings versus research and data?
So in that aspect, sometimes your gut just kicks in, and you use your how will I put it? But let's say emotion to make some key decisions. But I would say data, research and data is really important. You work with data, you work with facts. There's something we call user research. During those processes, we make some, we get data from the users. We get data as numbers. We ask series of questions from the users, and we get back. That's where that's the process of we trying to understand the users. Because for we to come up with solutions, we need to understand our user first. We need to understand them. So I would say we need to work with data. Every key decisions in the design needs to be backed with data. I can't just make this decision for, they say, okay, I just feel like we should do this. No, you don't just do that. You might end up just, ruining the whole product. That's why if we're designing, we keep iterating. We iterate a lot. You'll have thought, okay, I'm done with this design. Then you take it to the user to test. Then you get feedback from them. So that's why we need to do our research. We need to work with data. In case you're going to defend your design anywhere, you have data to back it up. But the reason why I made this decision was because the so amounts of users said they want it this way. Okay, they are facing this kind of challenges. So that was why I made this particular design. That's why I said data is more important than you just using your guts to make key decisions.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. It makes way, way more sense. All right. So, whenever you're done with the design, like whenever you're working, how do you know a design is really good? Like, when you get that feeling that it's done before giving it out as feedback. Of course, let us look at a landing page, for example, for your company. You've designed it, before you even give it to the client, you would first look at what you've done. And then when you are okay with it, that is when you would give it to the client. Am I correct? All right. So, but What does done feel like to you? How do you know a design is actually good?
I would say this before I go on with and answering the question. A design is never done. That's one thing I know. You keep iterating and iterating. It's never done. But for me, on my own end, I would say, after the whole thing, based on maybe I've done my research, the data and everything, I got everything, and I'm able to come up with a design. And I feel like, okay, I've been able to solve every aspect of problems the user, actually bring. I feel like I'm done. I'll be able to, tackle every area of it, the feedback I get from users, or I've been able to target every angle these products, based on the data I have with me, based on users' problem that I've been able to gather, like the problem they are facing. That's when I feel, okay, I'm done. Then after that, I take it out for iteration, and during those process, you feel like you are done. Then after you take it out for iteration, you see that users have submitting feedbacks. Even big products up till now, they still iterate and add a lot of things. Let's use Facebook for example. Even WhatsApp, they keep adding things. Based on user feedback, following the trend and starting to mix things up. But for you, a designer to say it's done, that means you've been able to solve every aspect of what needs to be done. That's just it.
Which brings me to the main focus of this whole series. You've worked with front-end developers, definitely. What's when your design lands on a developer's desk, or when you give it to a developer to design, or a developer to work on, what do they get wrong about it mostly? What are those little things that looks like, when you see it, you'll be like, this is not how this thing is. And you've actually been saying it over and over again, but it seems like for every time you make the design, or whenever there's a new project to work on, another developer still makes the same mistake. What do you think it is?
Okay, in that aspect, I would say it depends on the kind of developer you're working with. When I started my whole design journey, I was working with a set of developers. I believe some things are not achievable based on what they tell me. So when I'm designing, I try as much as possible to bring it down, like to something I feel is very, because I've done front end before. I know, I didn't, spend so much time on it. I did it for a couple of, let's say, I think 1 year or so. So I believe there are some things that are achievable. Then I believe, so once the developer say, I cannot do this, so I'll be like, okay, maybe this thing is not achievable. Maybe because I'm just a designer. That's why I'm doing this. Then I worked with a certain developer. Let's say I work with a company that the boss will tell me, if I go to him and say, the developer is not able to achieve it, tell me, no, that's not possible. Everything you've put in here is achievable. There's nothing in this world that cannot be done. That's the way he tells me. And I'll be like, okay. Then I'll take it back to the developer. After pushing the developer back and forth, they will eventually get it done. At least, let's say, it will be like 90% correct. And that changed my whole ideology of something cannot be achieved. No, there's nothing you want to build that cannot be achieved in development. So you be the one to push the developer to the limit and tell him, oh, this is how I want it, and you have to get it that way. And it's been chaos for the developer. It's been a big chaos. You guys have to fight, so you have to do it this way. After your whole labor of working day and night to achieve something nice, and developers brings the whole thing and be like, no, this is not my design. This is not it. So it's been really chaos. But I would say you have to just, there's nothing that cannot be achieved. That's just it.
Okay, so tell me a story. Tell me about a certain scenario that went completely sideways. You and a front-end developer, maybe a design that you did, and the front-end developer just like took it sideways. Just,
Okay,
humor us, tell us the story.
Okay, I would say when I was working on an e-commerce product, I designed the entire, it was not even the user side, I would say the admin side. I was working on, there were some filter buttons I added, on your dashboard. There are a couple of data that have to be there, a couple of charts and everything. And after I designed the whole thing, the whole thing was flowing and looking very cool and nice. And the developer submitted the whole front end thing and was saying, he was not able to get the real charts. And he just used the old, let's say, 19 kind of charts thing. It was like, I spent an entire time, perfecting this thing. make sure the whole thing is looking, the color is blending and everything. And you just came with me with a skeletal look of a chart. Say, yeah, that's what you can add. And started, no, the chat was not even looking very nice. We started going back and forth. And at some point, I started doubting myself, I mean, this thing is not achievable. But I was like, no, I've seen people, design this thing, like even crazy, more advanced charts that people have, built. And I was like, no, this is not possible. You have to design this thing. And we keep going back and forth. And it was really chaos for me,
So like, just only buttons alone. Like, how many weeks or how many months did you do the back and forth?
The back and forth went on. I will not say weeks, months, because I keep telling him it's not possible. And after we argue it, maybe we argue it in the meeting. And we say, okay, let me see what you can do about it. That you will go and come back. Then after you go and come back, it's still the same thing. Say, guy, it's still not the same thing. Hey, can't I see that he has, if I should look at it, there's no difference there. But when I'm looking here, there's, there are two different ways. It's been really chaos working with some developers. I'll just put it that way.
Okay. So, what is that one thing that you feel like you put in your designs? Users don't really see it. I mean, there are times that they might not even use it. Not that they don't use it, of course, but not that much. But the minute it's not there, the whole design will look somehow. Like it is definitely going to be noticeable. What is that?
There are some things you put in your design, and that we'll call it, I would call it aesthetics, that are not really, really, really that important, but you just need to put it there to have a good visual look for the users. Users might not pay attention to it. They might not pay, because basically users nowadays, they don't have time to be spending so much time. They don't even care about your visual look and aesthetics of things.
Just to get to work.
Just to get to what they want to do. They're just like, I want to transfer money now, and I start looking at one button that is floating. No. My main function is I'm able to send the money and the money gets to where it's going. There are some things like that, but mostly it's usually the visual look of things. Adding a floating animations, especially. You adding animations, a lot of animations. Users don't really pay attention to it at times. You might be looking at it from your own view, like, wow, this thing is making it look nice. The whole thing is bouncing. But users don't care. I'll use an example for Paystack. When you want to transfer, and the payments gateway, and you say, I've sent the money, the loader that is loading, you can actually use your mouse to drag it and the thing will be bouncing. But how many users pay attention to that? I just want that money to go and the payment is successful. That's just it.
I'm just learning about this now. You mean the best you could bounce the
that loader that is going. If you drag your mouse on it and dragging it to be bouncing, it to be following your mouse. And
definitely
does not have no, that thing is actually there.
User no get you now.
Yeah, they just want to see my money is sent, transaction successful. That's what they want to see.
I mean, imagine me paying for Chowdeck. So by the way, Chowdeck is a food delivery app in Nigeria. For those who don't know, it's actually in Nigeria. So imagine me paying ordering food for Chowdeck. I'm hungry, and I've made this payment through Paystack. Well, who would want to look at the whole? Anyway, I think it's nice. Thank you. At least now I know, in the process of waiting for the transfer to go through, I can at least keep on playing. It's actually very similar to this Google Chrome's internet page.
Yeah.
Some people do not know that dinosaur that actually shows is actually a game.
Yeah, people don't know. People don't.
That you can play, waiting for Chrome to come back.
Yes.
So it's actually a game. I think I found out that in after 3 years or 2 years when it came in. It was actually a friend that also told me. So since then, when I'm waiting for the internet to load, I just play the game. Then when the internet comes back, it automatically loads.
Off my internet that game. I will just off my internet, disconnect my network, and play that game a little bit. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's fun. So what's the highest score that you've actually ever gotten in that game?
I think the highest score was around 1,000 something, because especially if it goes to the fast-paced one that you have to bend down, go up, like.
I think I've also gotten to, was it 1.5 or 1.7?
1,000 plus.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely going to add a poll here. I'm going to add a poll here for this one in the video, asking users to enter just their highest score. Okay, so for developers who want to design better, at least for somebody like me who can't really design for the life of it, who can't design to save their lives, God knows. If I'm asked to design something now, okay, maybe with Canva AI or Claude AI or Codex, I don't know, I might do something really good. But right now, my design skills are, should I say they are mush. But what is your advice for a developer who wants to design better? Like, advise me. What do you think I can do to get better at design?
For developer that is trying to get better, I do say this: you need to understand principles of design. That's the first thing. You need to understand that, the basics, the principles that guide design, the key decisions. We don't just put button for putting sake and put colors for putting sake. There are rules, there are laws that guide that. So every developer needs to understand, the principles of design. That's what I'll just advise. You need to understand those principles. Know the reason why. Sometimes you actually work with some developers that have those knowledge and they will tell you, do you think this thing is actually really, what if they challenge what you've done? And I love those set of developers. They challenge you. Like, okay, you go back, to your drawing board and just mix things around. But I just say every developer should just understand the principles of design. And that's just it. That will really help.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, definitely going to pick up a book on that, the principles of design. Wow, nice. So what tools do you actually use?
Okay. I'm going to start with the history aspect of this first tool I started with that I believe is the best. No, not let's say it's the best. I started with Figma at first. But later on, when I started following this tutorial online, I moved to Adobe XD because then Adobe XD has a lot of, prototyping, more than Figma. Figma then was still, kind of old. It's not like old, they just came in new and Adobe XD is in the picture already and it has a lot of animation, beautiful prototyping. And I would use Adobe XD, then I'll be feeling like king. Then when I started using Adobe XD, I think for like a year. Then I started seeing what people are doing with Figma because if I design with Figma, then my design is always looking heavy, very heavy, like it's not looking fine. But Adobe XD, everything is looking slick. Then I started seeing people using Figma, doing that same thing I'm doing with Adobe XD. Like, is there something I'm getting wrong? And that was then I knew I need to, work on myself. Then I had to switch back to Figma because that's what's trending at the moment. You have to follow the trend. So I use Adobe XD then from Figma to Adobe XD, from Adobe XD back to Figma. And I think Figma right now is still the best. There are other tools out there that, that are way, I'll not say better, that doesn't actually require front end. We have Framer and we have Webflow. Webflow came into the picture before Framer. That one is no code. You just, do your thing and just push to life. You don't need to code.
Thank you so much for that. So let us look at Figma now. In Figma we have the design system, we have dev mode. I think we have is it slide or what is the? There are a lot of tools in Figma today. What do you think is like? Which tools do you think is the real that genuinely helps designers, and what tool is just theater that is just there? Tools that maybe once in a while, or maybe once in 2 years or 3 years, that is when you might have a need to use it, compared to like a UI UX designer. What are those tools that you feel like a UI UX designer should know today and should use?
Okay. There's one thing about Figma is that they have so many plugins. They even allow, outside plugins, as somebody that could just come there and create your own plugin and just put it to the Figma community and people can start using it. There are a lot of plugins on the Figma community. So even Figma itself, I discovered lately that Figma also have remove background on their own. But I've been used to remove PG using that plugin all this while. And their own remove background require you to be on a paid version for you to be able to use that. So there are so many tools on their paid version that there are plugins in the free version, like free plugins that you can use to do that. So people don't usually, stay with their paid version. Like people don't really see the need to use the paid version, and people just stick to the plugins. They have this image quality for you to you bring in your image, you remove the background, you can increase the quality. Figma has those kind of tools, for you increase quality. Even the Figma Make thing, for now, for the free version, you can use Figma Make to build but you will not be able to copy it and edit it. But if you're on the paid version, you'll be able to copy it and bring it to your Figma board for editing. But people don't really see the need to use that because there are a couple of plugins, third-party plugins that you can use to do that already. So I would say I don't really use much of Figma tools. I use plugins most of the time. I use plugins. And for I think one of the thing I loved about Figma is the dev mode for the developers. It's really, really helping for very easy for developer to, just, build things. You will see every aspect, the size, the color, the padding, the margins and everything. The dev mode is really, really I think that's one of the things I love most about Figma. But apart from that, for the developers, for me as a designer, the plugins, that's just it.
All right. So, take me through what happens between, maybe a client coming to you or someone coming to you telling you that we need a screen for this, maybe a screen for a landing page. They're just using a landing page for an example. And when you finish the design, what actually happens? What is your workflow? How do you go about the whole thing?
Okay. If a client comes to me and be like, okay, I want to build this. First thing I need to do is I have to understand what the user actually wants to build first. Just like you said now, landing page, let's say a business comes to me now, they want to build a land. Let's use how will I put it? Let's say a dispatch, a logistic company comes to me they want to build their website. And after I get the whole thing, I need to first understand the kind of things they do. I need to do my research, look at their competitors, the flow of things. I need to really understand how things work in that industry because I've worked on a couple of projects that I have no knowledge about. That's why research is a key thing in this whole thing. Research is really, really, really a major thing. You need to know how to do researches. You need to first understand what they want to do. They can't just, they give you, I want to do this, then you just jump on Figma board and start designing. You won't even get it done. That's just it. You need to first understand, do your research, do a lot of, sketch a lot of, wireframe, do a lot of sketching, you sketch it out, you take a look at it. Is this thing really matching what they want? For a website now, it doesn't really need much of research, just need to, understand what they do, their services, get a lot of information from them, look at a lot of inspiration, people that are also doing that particular kind of things, you get inspiration from there, go online, Pinterest, get information. But in the case of you're building a product, that's when you need to do thorough research, understand what the user really needs. I'll give an example. I worked on a postnatal care app that requires, it's for nursing mother and newborn mothers. And I have no knowledge about that. I'm a man. I don't know what's going on in that stage. I don't know what's going on there. So I need to, conduct interviews, meet the people that actually really want to use the product. Ask them 1 or 2 questions. What are the things they are facing? What are the challenges? Then after that, I need to, collect everything together and come up with solutions. That's why I said, a lot of things go on in the background that people don't usually see, which is the research aspects, the sketch aspects, the iteration, brainstorming. That's really the key thing that is going on in the background that people don't usually see. They just believe you just go there and mix clothes together. And that's what the clients are actually paying for. Your time to research and then the brainstorming, the iteration and everything. That's what they're actually paying for.
What do you think about AI tools for design?
Okay. People are kind of like, okay, AI is taking jobs, it's going to take our job, it's going to take away design. People can actually use AI to design now. But what I would tell them is AI is not taking anything. We still need that insight from users. We need that iteration, brainstorming sessions. They are really key because AI is working based on the data he has gathered online. That's what people don't realize. He's working, but based on the data he has gathered online. And all those data are gotten from where? From what users has put online. That's just it. And AI is just here to make our work faster. It's not like he's doing the main work. People say, okay, if a client comes down and say, okay, I want to do a project, I'll say, okay, I'll use AI to generate it. Yeah, go ahead, go and do it. And one thing you don't realize is this is not your field. Even though you want to use AI to generate it, there are some key words that you need to put in. There are some structure you need to lay down for you to get the perfect results. Which you that you are not into, the whole UI UX thing, you don't have knowledge of design, you will not get it. So AI is just here to make our work faster. It's not taking away our work. That's one thing I want people to know. Because I had an experience regarding that. A client said, okay, I can just use AI to generate. I was like, okay, go ahead. He went ahead to generate it, with AI and gave it to the client. And the client was like, no, I don't like this. No, take it back. He had to bring it back. And I had to also increase my fee. Because, okay, that time, the fee that time was like, and this period, I have to increase it because you are bringing something else for me. I had to charge him extra. And he told me, now, he told me one sentence that day, show me the reason why AI is not taking your work away from you. And I also had to prove that to him. I had to make what he has generated with AI look better. And that's one thing. Even AI generates for you, we still need a little bit of touch. Even as a developer, you generate with AI. You still need to if you don't understand what's going on there, you just be looking. So you need to add on with it. AI is just here to make our work faster.
Yeah, that's also one thing that I always tell people. You don't let AI do the job for you. You need to do the job. AI is just there to help you. So the job that you're supposed to do within 5 days, you can complete it in 1-2 hours. Is to make you more productive and way more efficient. But it does not take away what you know. You don't go into a field you don't know and just generate something. You would fail, like spectacularly. You would fail spectacularly. I've had someone also generate like a full app, and I'm like, no, whether you like it or not, yes, you've generated something. You've generated like should I say like a foundation. To you, it works. I'm not a designer, but personally, I can see some loopholes in this thing. There are some things that this thing still needs to add. And one funny thing about AI is when you offset all the job to it, by the time you are bringing it back and asking it to do like to generate on it again, based on your prompts or whatever, it gets from bad to worse. So whether you like it or not, you still need that human element. So AI is there to make you more productive, not to steal your job. AI is not stealing anyone's job. The thing there is, are you productive? Do you know what you're doing? Are you well grounded in your field? If you are not well grounded in your field, then it is at that point what you can do, AI can also do. So you need to showcase, or you need to show something that shows that you are a master in that field. What is that one skill that is so underrated, but you feel like every designer must have?
Okay. The one skill I feel every designer should have is, I would say, communication. People might be wondering, what does communication has to do with design and all? Communication is key. I learned about that I'd say 2 years ago, when I was to work with a team. During one of these boot camp, I'm always a one-man squad. I was to work with a couple of, other designers on a particular final project. That was when I saw that communication is really key. Because, you guys are like 8 in numbers. You can't just be the one to make the key decisions. You have your own opinion to yourself. You want to work on a website now, I come, I say, this is the thing. And, you being a team lead, communication is really a big thing for you. I had a lot of it in doing that process of doing the whole thing. I fought with my fellow designers. Some people were feeling like, hey, why do you want your own design to be out there? Hey, why are you not picking my own design? And I find it very difficult. I find it difficult to explain to him the reason why we are picking this particular person's design over your own. As a team, we go out, okay, everybody go and design your own landing page and bring, bring up your ideas. Let's brainstorm. Everybody submits their own, and we started looking at it, and we pick this person hero section, we pick this person call to action section, pick this person's header, and you are wondering why are they not picking your own? Because you feel in your own opinion that thing you did is the best. So communication is a big thing for me. It's a really important thing that people don't notice. But even apart from you communicating with your fellow designers, you should be able to communicate with developers as well. And so was as clients as well. Communication is really a big thing. And when it comes to designing, you should be able to communicate, explain to clients why you're making these particular decisions. Try to convince them that, oh, this is, tell them things, advise them. Oh, this is why this one needs to be like this and this. So I feel communication is a big thing.
Well, thank you, Mr. Abiodun. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for the insights. Thank you so much for the advices. I really appreciate it. So please, can you just please tell our audience where they can find you? Your social media, I don't know what tools. I know for developers now, I will just tell them, find me on GitHub or on GitLab or something. So I don't know, what tools do you guys use to showcase your work to the world?
We have Behance. We showcase that you can find me on Behance, Afuwape Abiodun. Also as well on LinkedIn, the same thing, Afuwape Abiodun. And you can also find me on Instagram, Jega_Junior as well. So, but most of our work are always on Behance, and we have personal portfolios.
All right, so guys, I'm going to link his profiles on Behance down below, so you can check it out, check his work out, and if you like what you see, follow him and reach out to him. He's a nice guy, and whatever questions you have, he will definitely answer. So thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on Inside the Stack and sharing your insights. Yeah, so guys, we've come to the end of this session. Thank you so much for joining us. And so if you've not liked the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. So we'll see you in the next video, bringing on another UI UX developer to share their insights and their thoughts. So see you guys later. Bye.